Alright, what's going on, guys? So the new update, weekly rotation for Elden Ring Nightreign just dropped, and with it the new Everdark Sovereign version of Caligo, Miasma of Night, or the Fisher in the Fog expedition. And this is a pretty cool fight. Admittedly, it's not that different from the regular fight. This one is pretty similar to how Fulgore was changed, with just a few new moves, but an interesting twist on the fight overall. And of course, with the weekly rotation, we also have a new Relic to discuss, which unfortunately I don't have yet, because we literally got this boss down to one hit on the first try. So close, and it's unfortunate. But we're gonna break down this whole fight, go through absolutely everything that's new, strategies to take it down, and then we're gonna have a little talk at the end of the video about the Everdark Sovereigns overall, and the community perception that's been going on about them, which I find very interesting. But as always, as we get started today, if you want to stay up to date on absolutely all things Elden Ring Nightreign, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and now let's get into it. Alright, so before we even get into the fight itself, one thing you're going to want to do before you even commence your expedition is go over to the signboard and spawn in a mountaintop shifting earth. And a couple reasons why that's going to help you significantly is because number one, there's going to be a lot of frostbite going on in this fight, just like the original Caligo fight. And of course, the power of the mountain is going to have your frostbite damage, as well as have the frost buildup and give you an attack increase in proximity of frostbite. So this is a very specific counter to Caligo. And it also works for the Everdark Sovereign version, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So definitely make sure you get that. But also while you're on the mountaintop, you're going to want to kill the flying dragon mini boss and get the anti-dragon effect on your weapon, because that's going to come in super handy not only for the main dragon fight on the mountaintop, but also for Caligo. And that's not even everything. Other mini bosses on the mountaintop will also drop a buff to reduce the damage and buildup of frostbite. Now I'm not sure if that stacks with the power of the mountain. I don't want to say one way or the other, so somebody confirm that down below in the comments section, but you might as well grab it. Now once you have all of these buffs from the mountaintop, you're going to be pretty much negating the most annoying part of this Everdark Sovereign fight, so I highly recommend doing this. But now let's take a look at the actual fight itself. The enhanced fight starts off the same as pretty much all of the others in phase 2 of the regular Caligo fight. It's exactly the same. You should pretty much already know how this goes. But this will go on for about the first 30% of the health bar, and once you get it down to about 70% health left, that's where the new fight is going to kick off. Now you should have a pretty good grasp on these moves like I said, and I really hope you do, because the enhanced version has almost all of the exact same moves, they're just slightly changed, and I'll go over exactly how. But when you get down to 70% health, like I said, and this phase transition happens, it's going to start out in a very particular way. Caligo is going to sink to the ground and start summoning this purple mist around. You should be trained well enough to recognize that this is an AoE, so start running. You can see the border of this attack, it starts this vortex, and I just barely didn't make it out in time here, but once you're out of that range, you're fine. But even so, you should probably still stay a good distance back, because there's this other attack where Caligo spawns this big purple crystal, and this is another AoE. It'll do the same sort of vortex thing, but this will cause Mist of Frostbite to spawn across the entire arena. And this is where having those buffs from the mountaintop is going to come in super handy. You can see here this buildup is super slow, and even when it activated, I didn't take hardly any damage at all. But the way to get rid of this frostbite on the arena is through the new gimmick in this fight. What separates the Everdark Sovereign version from the regular one is that Caligo is now covered in this sort of ice armor, and you need to break it off. Now just doing regular attacks will break the armor, but what's tricky about it is that it's divided into sections across the entire boss. And the sections that I could tell are the head, the wings, the legs, and the tail. And you're gonna need to break all of the sections to get the edge in this fight. And you'll see that gradually throughout the footage here. But like I said, you'll probably notice that almost all of these attacks are exactly the same as they are in the regular fight, just slightly changed. Like you can see here, the crystals now are much bigger, and the tail swipe that Caligo does to break them now shoots out 3 arc projectiles instead of just 1, and there's almost no telegraph. This attack comes out almost instantly, so be aware of that. It can also spin around and cause more crystals to spawn that will explode as well. It still has the same breath attacks, which are incredibly dangerous, so be careful. But the telegraph on those is exactly the same as the regular fight. Now, once you've gotten the hang of this a little bit and broken all the pieces of armor, this will stun Caligo, giving you the opportunity to do a visceral attack. So make sure you capitalize on that, because as soon as the stun is over, the cycle begins again. We're back to the exact same thing as the phase change with the big AoE, so take time to run away, and this is a good opportunity to drop a warming stone, because this is going to go on for a little bit, and Caligo's either going to start flying around or do the other AoE attack, so I would hesitate to start getting in close. So take this opportunity to heal up, buff up, whatever you need to do, and I wish my teammate would have here, because to be honest, honest, a lot of these attacks in this fight will just straight up miss you if you're not panicking. Like this attack you're going to be seeing on screen here where it flies around, shooting the big crystals out. It looks like a lot, but it really isn't. Even if you stand perfectly still, you might get hit by one, maybe two. But if you're running around, you're going to get hit by a lot more. So I was finding myself just dodging straight into this attack. I'm sure there's a way to not get hit by any, but until you know that, better to only get hit by like one instead of 10. But that's pretty much the whole fight. You're just on this cycle of breaking the pieces of armor over and over again. Personally, I think this one might be a little easy. We ended up dying here because I was trying to revive my teammate who just ran out of heals, and unfortunately, because of that, kept dying over and over again. Which is why I do say the warming stone point, because you have a lot of opportunities in this fight to run to the edge of the arena and throw down a warming stone while the boss is doing all of its AoEs. But yeah, like I said, we almost had this fight in the bag. We were so close, but unfortunately died right at the end. For a first try though, I'll take it. Now, when you do beat this fight, your reward is the new relic waiting at the signpost, Dark Night of the Miasma, and you can see the effects on screen. First off, Frostbite in vicinity conceals self, combined with the second one, starting armament inflicts frost. There's some decent build opportunities there, and then tacked on at the bottom, improved physical damage negation. So if you want to run a Frostbite build, I guess this is a pretty decent relic. Personally, I'm not going to use it, but if you have some good combinations, let us know down below in the comments section. Now here's where we kind of need to talk about something that I've already seen popping up with a lot of these Everdark Sovereigns. Are they too easy? Because you have fights like this that are almost exactly the same as the base fight, just with some recolored projectiles and a little gimmick that you really don't have to change much in order to engage with, and this is supposed to be the enhanced version. Now we're coming off a fight last week, Everdark Sovereign Augur, which drastically changes the fight, and whether you love it or hate it, that really is an enhanced version of Augur. And you have other fights like Fulgor, which really isn't a whole lot different than its normal fight, and I thought was a little too easy. Enhanced Sentient Pest, while it does change the fight a good amount in terms of spectacle, that one's not hard at all. Enhanced Adele was the only one that I felt was truly hard, but even with that fight, it only gained 1 or 2 new moves. It's just that those new moves are extremely dangerous. And I'm not going to use the L word, but we do know what the rest of these Everdark Sovereigns are and what they're going to be like. So I say all that to just raise the question. In retrospect now, how do you feel about the Everdark Sovereigns? Do they truly feel enhanced, or were you expecting a bit more? Personally, I like them. However, I really hope we get an Everdark Sovereign version of Holstor, and I really hope that that is the true pinnacle of Nightreign, the hardest boss we ever get. I would love that, and I think it would be the perfect cap before we get the DLC later this year. But anyways, I just wanted to bring that up real quick because I've already seen people talking about it. But what do you think of Everdark Caligo? Personally, I think it's pretty cool, maybe a bit underwhelming, but a fun fight nonetheless. With all that though, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you in the next one.